Okay, so most people think that a vision board starts with pretty pictures on a board, but they're wrong. It doesn't. It actually starts before that. So let me explain. Does it make sense to get in your car and just start driving without first knowing the destination? Well, no, of course not, unless you're just going for the fun of a drive. But if you actually have something you want to achieve, you need to be clear on what that is and what it looks like to achieve it, right? But here's the thing, if you're creating your 2024 vision board without first having a life plan, that's exactly what you're doing. You're doing the exact same thing as getting into the car without really knowing where you're going and just driving, hoping that you're going to get to some place amazing, but not really having the clarity of knowing where exactly you're going and what does it look to know that you have arrived. But we can fix that. Hey, I'm Rashida. I'm tired of being a workaholic and a strong Black woman because those were not the destinations I wanted to achieve. I actually wanted lifestyle freedom. And so, on my journey to create that for myself, I now make videos about how I use vision, goals, and life systems to create my work less, live more lifestyle. And I'm excited to share them with you too, which brings me to today's topic, creating a life plan. So, as I was preparing for this video, I was doing some research on YouTube about other creators that are creating similar videos about vision boarding with me and the different steps that they take. And I found a video that was really amazing. I really appreciated her video called Create Your 2024 Vision Board with Me, Set Goals, and Make Your Dream Life a Reality this year. That creator is Camille Styles. It was such a good video. So I just want to give her a shout out. So before we jump in, let me give you the whole agenda of what we're going to talk about today. So, first, I'm going to talk about why most people think creating a 10-year vision is so hard, the trick that I use to make it easier, why creating your vision board from your life plan actually works. And then we'll jump into step one of the Vision Board with Me series, which is actually doing the step together, where we will review and evolve your life plan before you even get started. And if you've never created a life plan before, don't worry. I'm going to show you my jumpstart way for you to get started right here today. So, my story, I did all the things that I thought I was supposed to do. I went to school, I got good grades, I went to college, I got a degree, I actually got a job in my career path. And I did that for 10 plus years before I realized that I hated it. I did not enjoy the job that I was doing, but I recognized that I had this underlying subconscious pressure to just keep going after this American dream. And I didn't really know why, nor did I really have an idea of what else I would do. And it wasn't until I finally left it all to backpack around the world where I did amazing, crazy different things in different places from Cambodia to Malawi to Albania that I realized that I could choose a different way, but I needed a better way to get that all out of my mind so that I could go after it. So let me back up and say, yes, I did great in school. I had a great job. And I think some would think that that was the best part of the story because I had finally accomplished the American dream. I had the house, the dog, the car, like I had all the things. But frankly, I was miserable. And the hard part was I had no clear definition of what more meant to me or what I wanted that to look like. Instead, I was living this life where I was always bogged down by pressure. I was feeling over responsibility, constantly feeling like I had to prove myself, armoring up to survive, to go to work, to survive the day. All of that felt normal until I created my first life plan. And that was the key because it gave me the chance to choose or to write out if I wasn't doing what I'm doing today, what in the world would I be doing instead? And I got to choose that for myself. So if you're like me, for the longest time, you thought that the American dream, got having this great career and being a corporate professional was the only option to being successful. But because you thought there has to be another way, you finally chose to start dreaming, creating vision boards, journaling about what would your life look like if you weren't doing what you are doing right now. So, your vision board has helped you accomplish some amazing things, but you really need a life plan to really change your life. That's why reviewing and evolving your life plan or even creating one should be step number one in creating your annual vision board. So, let's review and evolve your vision board together. If all of that sounds good to you, I would love for you to like, subscribe, internal notifications, because as I said, this is the second video in a full series. So you'll want to be able to get the next videos and do the next steps when they come out in the coming weeks. So as I was saying before, most people are like, how in the world are you going to help me create a 10-year vision when I can barely decide what the heck I'm going to eat for dinner today? How am I going to actually think so far in advance? And I can understand. Most people feel like they're deer in headlights when they have to think that way, but I have an amazing key that all of my clients agree. Every time we do this and we do it this way, it makes it so much easier for them to answer this question. And the way that we do that is I help them create context around what 10 years from now means. When I just say 10 years from now, that kind of feels far away. It feels disconnected to you. You almost are like, I can't even imagine what 10 years what kind of context 10 years would have, because there's no other way to relate to it until I ask you this question. Here's the question. How old will you be 10 years from now? I want you to actually say that number out loud. Like, let your brain register. How old will you be right now? I'll pause. Okay, so hopefully you said it out loud right now. I will be 49. When I think about the age 49, knowing how old I am today, immediately things start to come to mind about what I expect my life to look like. And so you already have a bit of a life plan that's been intrinsically moving around in your brain. But because you've never taken this intentional time to think about it and pull it out of your brain, you've not been able to do the things that build the intentional things that you already have in your mind, because you've actually never just put it all out on paper. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, creating a life plan when you first start, 9 times out of 10, this is probably going to be your first time doing this. It can seem really overwhelming to create a full 10-year life plan. I actually say that for my clients when we're doing that in my program called Meant for More, because in my program, I give you a full questionnaire that gives you questions in each area of life so that it doesn't feel so vague or broad, to be able to answer what exactly do you want your life to look like in 10 years, in addition to adding the context of how old you will be. So for today, instead of creating a full life plan, we're going to create what I like to call a 10-year vision map. And that is a simplified version. That's really the key to this, is keeping it simple this first time around and then allowing it to evolve every year as you come back to create your next annual vision board. Why is the 10-year vision map the better solution than a life plan? Because it's simple. And not only that, it keeps you from overthinking and gives you space to grow. This is not set in stone. So you just need to get the first things that are in your mind out of your mind, down onto paper this first time, and then allow them to evolve. As you continue to evolve, your vision map is going to continue to evolve as well. So when I think about the core of what I'm creating in my vision map, as I told you before, the biggest thing that I wanted to see change in my life when I created my first vision map was that I realized that I was always doing the things I should do. And that left me feeling like I was put in a box and that I didn't have the freedom to do the things that I wanted. And that I wanted more, but I didn't have a lot of clarity around what more looked like. So now, as I'm creating my vision map and continuing to evolve it, I always approach it with the context of I'm dreaming of lifestyle freedom. And when I say lifestyle freedom, I mean that I want the autonomy to choose my schedule. I want to be able to work anywhere in the world. I don't want to have to go into someone's office every day. I want to be able to work with people that I'm passionate about serving, regardless of whether I'm working in someone else's business or whether I'm working in my own business or working with my clients. Location freedom, time freedom, energy freedom, financial freedom. All of those were the different types of freedom that all fit into lifestyle freedom for me. And I wanted to build my life around those things rather than just focusing on how it's going to make money. Money becomes the tool when you have a life plan. Money should not be the goal. It's just the tool for you to create the life that you want to live. Now, you might not want any of those things. And that this is a video. It's not about trying to convince you to want lifestyle freedom or anything that I want for that matter. For one, I love tiny houses and most people are not into that. If you are, we should definitely be friends. But the point is, you don't have to want what I want or what anyone else wants or what the American dream says you should want. This is about you choosing what you want your life to look like, getting it out of your head and getting it down onto paper so that you can do intentional things to build to that life. So now let's jump into the exercise to actually create your first 10-year vision map. Let's get into it. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get some pen and a paper, or you can get your iPad, find a comfy chair, get your favorite drink, get comfortable. This is going to be something like a journaling exercise. So I want you to be in the mind space to really take advantage of this. So I'm going to do this on my iPad, and I've got my pencil. Now, here's one thing that I didn't say. I strongly suggest that you do this in a way that you can write rather than just doing it in Canva or some kind of graphic design setup because you're going to want to organize and pull all the pictures and do all the things as you go. And it's better if you just allow your brain to focus and go in its flow state of journaling and writing things out rather than interrupting that flow by trying to organize it and figuring out the best way to do it. So please make sure you're doing it in a way that allows you to write rather than organize as you go. All right. So I'm going to use an app called Freeform on my iPad, mainly because it's a whiteboard and there's enough space that I can just go and allow my ideas and things to just flow out and kind of just do all the crazy lines that you can do on a whiteboard. So that's why I'm using that app today. I'm going to open a new window and we're going to jump right in. So the first thing that you're going to do in this exercise, going back to what I told you before, what makes this really hard is if you don't first have context before answering the questions that I'm about to ask you. So we're going to take that question that I asked you earlier and we're going to start there. I want you to write down, how old are you going to be 10 years from now? So I'm going to do that as well. Now, as you're watching me write, do not judge me for how crazy this might end up looking. So as I said, 10 years from now, I'm going to be 49. And that is going to be the context in which we answer all of the questions that are coming afterwards. Now, don't get freaked out. It's only 8 questions. And what we're going to do, because this is the jump start, this is the simplified version of creating a life plan. As we create your vision map right here today, you're just going to draw lines and circles and journal things out. But I'm going to give you some context to each of these areas first. So there's 8 areas of life that you are going to want to write out what you want your life to look like 10 years from now. So the first area we're going to talk about is the emotional area of life. Now, when I think about emotions, I think about it in the context of what emotions on the emotion wheel. So that can go deeper than just joy and happiness. So I'm actually going to put an emotion wheel right here so that you can see this and come back to it and pause. But what kind of emotions do you want to live out every day? Right now, it might not be the emotion that you're living out, or it could be exactly what you're doing right now, and you want to continue to maintain it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to talk about the things that you want in each of these areas of life. It's more about getting it out of your mind and putting it down on paper so that you can do it intentionally rather than by accidentally doing it or doing by happenstance. Next, I want you to think about the spiritual part of life. And regardless of what you believe in, who you believe in, or if you don't believe in any higher being at all, I want you to think about how does that affect your perspective on the world? If you do believe in a higher being, How do you connect with that higher being? And how do you want to continue to develop your belief system and your relationship with that context? And so you're writing down, what does that look like 10 years from now? Again, it might be exactly as it is today, or it might be something that you want to go deeper in, a deeper sense of trust or belief or understanding in that area. So you can write that down in this section. After that, you're going to think about the physical part of your life. 10 years from now, your body is going to be reacting different than what it is right now. But you can do things today that can help you keep your strength when you're 10 years older. I work with an amazing naturopath. She's actually here on YouTube, so make sure you check her out at the Magic Goddess. What I love about what she talks about in her content is that you don't have to get you don't have to lose your strength. Your body, your health doesn't have to decline just because you're getting older. Then let's talk about the relational part. So when you think of relationships, I want you to think about this more than just your partner. This is also in context of, how do you build and develop relationship with your parents? How will they evolve as they get older? How will the relationship with your children evolve as they get older? What kind of relationships at work do you want to develop? What kind of friendships do you want to keep for the long haul? What kind of relationships do you need to stop, that you need to end because they're just not people that you can take into the next season of life? These are some of the things that you'll think about in this section. Next, let's talk about financial. Now, I'm actually going to write not just this section of life, but also the section after that because they're very closely intertwined. So the next section after that is professional. And here's why I say they're very closely intertwined. Financial is about, how do you spend money and how do you save money, whereas professional is about how you make money. And so one is an input and one is an output. And even though they're dependent on each other, your mindset around the two can be distinct and intentional between the different two if you take the time to think about it like we're thinking about right here. So, financial, how do you spend money? What things do you want to regularly spend money on? Maybe you want to always spend money to invest in yourself, to invest in different things that'll make more money for you. You're saving. What are your spending habits? Do you use a budget? All of those kind of things you want to think about. What are your financial goals for your growth? But then professional is about, how do you make money? So think about that in terms of your career, in terms of dividends. And it can be as traditional as, you go to a job, you make money that way, or maybe you have a side hustle or a business, or you could also have dividends or investments that also come in as well. You can have passive income streams and active income streams. You want to talk about all of those things when you're writing about your professional area of life. After that comes your personal part of life. Now, the immediate thing that probably comes to your mind is that everything on here is personal. And so that's exactly why I want to make sure I give you context to all of these different areas, because I think about this specifically in terms of, how do you have fun? How do you rest? How do you refill your personal cup? And so that should be considering, what habits do you need on a weekly, on a monthly, on an annual, on a daily basis to keep you refreshed and being the best person that you are meant to be. And so think about, what fun things do you like to do? Think about, how many times a year do you want a vacation? All of these different areas. What do you want to have accomplished in each of these areas? Now, remember, each of these sections, you want to make sure you come back and think of it in terms of the age that you're going to be 10 years from now, because that's what's going to make it the easiest way for you to answer any of these questions, or to journal in any of these areas. Okay. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great. We're only missing one. So then the last area is your purposeful part of life. Now, I would say that when I think about the older generation, there was a different context around purpose where coming out of the depression, it was more important that people felt like they had the money to take care of their families, that they weren't hungry. But our generation after that, and I'm going to say Generation X and then going into millennials, we started to see that our parents were working ourselves to death. And instead, we really wanted to find this happy medium where work was not the goal and that life wasn't just about making money, but also living it and not having to wait until we retired in order to feel like we accomplished something that was felt fulfilling to us. And so this area is all about writing out what feels fulfilling to you. Maybe it's working directly with people. Maybe it's maintaining your job, but actually volunteering on the side. Maybe it's all it could be tons of different things, but this is where you're going to journal about what would you like to have accomplished as a purpose in your life 10 years from now. All right. So we just talked about all 8 areas of your life. And now I want you to pause this video and I want you to journal about each of those different areas and just allow your mind to flow. Think about 10 years from now. You're going to be that age. And what does it look like for you to have accomplished what you want to accomplish in that area of life? So take some time. I would say don't go crazy with it. Put a timer on for 15 minutes, maybe at the most, and then come back and we'll move into the next step. All right. So now that you've finished that, the next thing that I want you to do, I want you to go back and read each section. Let's just look at one section first. So look at the emotional part of life. I want you to look at what you want to accomplish in your life 10 years from now. And you've probably journaled out a good paragraph, 2 paragraphs, or maybe even 3 paragraphs about that section. But I want you to take a step back and look at the theme and think to yourself, if there was just one main thing, a holistic thing that I had accomplished in this one area of life, that I would be good. Refine it into one sentence of at the end of the day, this is what I want my life to be about in this area of life. I want you to pause the video and do that step right now. Okay, perfect. Now that you've done that in your vision map, you've officially created a 10-year vision map. Now that you've journaled out the big ideas that you have for your life 10 years from now and refined it down to one theme in each area of your life. Congratulations. Get excited about that. All right. So, with that being said, now I want to show you what I did on my vision map, just in hopes that if it inspires you, but also that exercise was mainly for the people who have never created a life plan before, and you were able to walk through how to jumpstart that by creating this 10-year vision map. Now I'm going to show you how to review and evolve your vision map if you've been a person that has done this before and can take this step of evolving it rather than starting from the beginning. All right, so I have my vision map here on the screen, and this is actually the newer version of my vision map. Let me show you the old version. So you can tell the first one had some pink in it and the second one doesn't. So this vision map for me, I created this back in 2020. My 10-year span is from 2020 to 2030. And the way that I wanted to map this out was that I did this part in the exercise that I showed you before where I put all 8 areas of life and I wrote down what I wanted to accomplish or the theme that I wanted to accomplish in each one of those 8 areas of life. And then after I did that, I went back and created a core theme that I'll say my main purpose and put that in the center of my vision map. And so you can see that's what I have here. My main purpose in in the middle that says live a life that allows me to enjoy who I am, love others well, and see the world. Now, these can feel vague as you do it at the beginning because you're thinking about a lot of different things and it's a lot of different contexts. None of this is set in stone. That's why this whole exercise is about reviewing and evolving it because as you evolve and grow, your vision map is going to evolve because you are evolving as a human. So don't hesitate. Every year, you should be coming back to look at this as your step one to building your vision board. So this is the one with the pink right here. is my evolved vision board. I did this exercise on my own, so I'm just going to walk through how I've updated it. So for one, I got a little clearer and making sure that I noted this is my 2020 to 2030 vision map. And then my core theme didn't change, even though I probably could refine it to be a little bit more tangible and specific, but it still feels good to me, so I'm going to leave it. Now I'm going to look at each of the different areas and I'm going to update them as I go. And because I want to see the different iterations, I did the written version as I walked you through in the last exercise. I came and I built this in Canva. And the way that I do it is I keep the prior version in the same document so that I can always know how it's evolving over the years that I'm doing this. So this first one was built in 2020 and this one was updated in 2024 this year. So, going through the changes that I made in my professional life, I think that I've already told you guys about this, but I am a life coach for workaholics, corporate professionals, entrepreneurs, strong Black women, mainly because you ladies are, you're my heart, you are me. This is something I so deeply relate to. What I accomplish in my professional is about making money around doing something that I feel passionate about and that I can serve others with. And so I'm sharing the things that I'm passionate about and making money as I go, but more because I'm passionate about seeing us all get to this place where we can enjoy the life that we deserve to live rather than feeling like we have to be on all the time, armoring up or being put into a box of what the American dream says our life has to be about. And so my theme that I want to accomplish 10 years from now is that I want to grow a community of 5,000 workaholics using long-term vision and strategic planning to build a life of working less and living more so that we don't have to be on all the time. Now, this is a place where you want to be semi-smart goal. You already have the context of 10 years from now, so you don't necessarily have to add a time context in because this whole vision map is based on that time context. But now you're getting into what kind of tangibility, how can you create metrics around that? And so that's why I have the number 5,000 in there. You want to keep that in mind when you're creating your theme. So that's why you want to journal first and to let all your different thoughts come out. And then you can come back, refine it, and make it tangible afterward. Now, I also have to say, not all of these are crazy tangible because I'm going to be super tangible when it gets into my annual goals and my vision board. This is more about your high level vision and having context of where you want to take your lives rather than getting down into the weeds of how you're going to create that. So then looking at the spiritual part of my life, my theme in that area is that I want to trust the man who has changed my life, dream with him, adventure with him, and most importantly, receive love from him because his love changes everything. So remember, this context is about what do you believe is bigger than yourself and how do you relate to that belief and how do you grow and develop it? Okay. So then going into your purposeful part of life, this is a great place to put your why. Why are you motivated to do whatever you do? So my why is to end the epidemic of worthlessness. And that means leaning into reminding workaholics and strong Black women that it's not work that defines us. Work does not define us. Gosh, that's so important to me. Our value and our worth is God given and does not have to be proven. It just is. It's just who we are. So that's the core of my why and making sure that there's a thread of that in how I serve the people that I work with every single day. Then in the physical part of life, my main theme here is to get to and maintain a weight of 165 by creating great habits for healthy eating, regular activity, and stress management. So as I said before, I've been working with an amazing naturopath. Again, you can find her here on YouTube at the Niger Goddess. And she's been helping me even create some more intentional and specific goals around this. I write all of those in my vision board. Then in the financial area, I want you to think about, remember, this is about how you spend and save money. So I want to stay debt free with the exception of buying real estate, buying with cash, use a budget and build wealth that I can pass on. And then we've already talked about professional. Remember, professional was about how we make money and the financial is about how we spend and save money. So then moving on to the emotional part of life. So I want to show you this because I refined this a lot this year. So what it was when I first created this 10-year vision map, it said that I wanted to create and maintain a regular routine of self-care that I do regardless of whether I'm traveling at home because I've been such a digital nomad and that I've bounced around. I had a harder time really maintaining some of the healthy habits that I wanted to maintain. Well, I refined that and moved that around. And while that's still important, and actually seeing a lot more of that happen in my physical area of life as I work with the naturopath. So I decided to update this section to say, make joy my number one emotion. And that's really because this world can be hard, especially building a business. Sometimes it can be easy to get into this pessimistic, almost over realistic mindset. And I wanted to challenge myself to stay optimistic and live from a place of joy and belief in who I am, who God has created me to be, and that what I'm building has purpose and all of those things. And I am doing that when I know that I'm leading my life from a place of joy. So think about, what do you want that to look like for you? Again, at this point, you should have already used the emotion wheel that I shared when we were doing in the last exercise. Then in the relationals part of my life, I wrote that I don't want to shy away from love. I want to lean into the hard parts of sharing myself with my family, my husband, my children, my friends, and my community, and give the best of myself, even though I can be hurt. I mean, isn't that the hardest thing about relationships, is that some of your closest relationships are the relationships that can hurt you the most. But I want to open myself to be open hearted to those and risk being hurt because I know that there's beauty on the other side of that. So that's the core theme in my relational part of my life. And then finally, personal. So originally, this for me was all about choosing a location for my home base of a life that's, travels, because as a digital nomad, I was still very much bouncing around and I hadn't chosen where I wanted to be. I just kept moving to different places. Like I said, I've lived in 15 different cities. I've traveled to 30 different places. Like, I've been all over. And the one thing that I noticed about all of that bopping around is that I got to a point where I wanted just one place to call home, one place where all my stuff was, one place where my closest people were. And that when I got to that place, it felt like home, not that I was bouncing to another place. And so when I updated this year, I actually had made a decision that I knew that I wanted Charlotte to now be my home place. Picking a city is really huge for me. I remember trying to pick a city just 2 years ago, and not only did I not have an answer, I think it took me 2 years to get to this place. So, actually way more than 2 years. It took me 2 years once I decided that I needed to make a decision. But before that, I mean, I'm 39, it's taken me 39 years to decide where I wanted my home place to be. So writing this down was really huge for me. And then also being a little bit more clear about my tiny house and my dreams around that. So I want to build a tiny house compound so that I can have a place to call home and also use it as an income property. This is my whole vision map of the different things that I want to accomplish 10 years from now in each of these 8 areas of life, in addition to the overall theme that I want to accomplish just in general for my whole life 10 years from now. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information, a lot of journaling, but I also want to tell you, this is just a jump start of creating your life plan, and you did a great job. I know this is a lot. No matter what you have, just the fact that you've tried, you've done a great job. So make sure you pat yourself on the back. I'm really proud of you for taking some time to do this. This is something that I do with my clients. And as I said, I take it a little bit deeper because I give them a lot of the questions and things that they can journal through to make it a little easier for them to do this exercise. If you are ready to get that kind of help, I would love for you to go ahead and get my free webinar that's called How to Work Less and Live More. Because in that webinar, I'm going to teach you the whole process that I take my clients through, not just this vision part, because there's a part that I do before and two parts that we do afterward that really are going to help you get a really deep grasp on where you want to take your life, how to stop being a workaholic in order to create the life you want, and then building the systems that you need in order to shift your life so that it's just not an event where, things are different. It becomes your new lifestyle that you're living forevermore. So, especially if you are a workaholic, a strong Black woman who really is ready to live your soft life, to go from being a workaholic to living this work less, live more lifestyle, I would love for you to go ahead and get that free webinar. Head to the description and you'll be able to sign up for it there. Let me remind you that this is the second video in a series where I'm going to be walking you through how to vision board and giving you some of the steps that you've probably never thought about when it comes to making a vision board. But the whole goal is that you will be able to make a vision board that actually works. And that's how this series started off. The first video was called Four Strong Black Women Making a Vision Board to Manifest Lifestyle Freedom in 2024. Here's the playlist for you to go ahead and watch that first video. And if this has been helpful to you, please make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so that you can continue in this series with me. We've got quite a few more videos. Actually, let me run down what's coming next. So the next couple of videos are going to pan out like this. Step 2, review your goals from last year. Step 3, don't create new 2024 goals, evolve them. Step 4, finally create your 2024 vision board. Step 5, you're not done. Life systems to execute your vision board. And then I'm also going to give you some bonuses and resources and goodies in between doing all of those things. So I'm so excited that you've come all this way with me. However long, this is probably going to be a good 35, 40-minute video. Thanks for sticking around this far. If you have any questions about anything that we've done today, I would love to talk to you about it in the comments. Otherwise, I look forward to doing step 2 with you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.